Call the regular meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. and have Charles Burgess lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 1st, 2025. Each member received copies for review.
Second motion.
Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the monthly reports of April. Each member received copies for review.
Second motion.
Questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we have a very interesting agenda tonight. Should be fun. One announcement, especially for you. We're going to have a special meeting on May 27th. We're going to have a presentation from hopefully our newest partner, G&W Railroad. And they're coming in to tell us about them and about reinstituting our freight rail project at Industrial Park 3. So we have been discussing it among ourselves. We're going to hear from them. We'll continue discussing it, and the project will take its course. But that'll be a big night with a major presentation from one of the largest railroads in the United States of America. Having said that, I think we will go directly to public comment. So, is there anyone in the room or on Zoom? We'll start within the room. Anyone in the room want to make a public comment? All right. Anyone on Zoom want to make a public comment? If you do, raise your hand, go in the chat box, and Jim K will recognize you. All right, last call for public comment. Okay, hearing none, we will go to Kyle Kelly and report on Naugatuck Ambulance.
Good evening, everyone. Happy May. I sent my report out yesterday. I just got back from New York to inspect our next ambulance that's due in. They're getting some stuff done to it. It'll be down hopefully in the next couple of weeks. It'll get the wrap done and then be in service. We are still lending a truck to Thomaston. That should be back soon. We have begun interviewing several EMTs and paramedics to bring on to increase our BLS and paramedic coverage. So just last week, we had a day where we had 3 paramedics on for about 12 hours throughout the day, which was a huge help and never done before on a scheduled basis. So that's another milestone. So we're moving forward. That's what we have. I did one thing to note. I did get back the quote for the overhang carport we've been trying to look at. I did get some of it not some of it donated, but I got some of the material donated at a little bit of a discount. We were hoping to get some more, but not quite there. So we're looking at about $35,000 to get that done. So that's something I'll be talking with our board with. And hopefully we can get that done since we'll be there for a few years. So keep our trucks out of the elements for a bit. So that's all I got.
Mentions ends only CPR.
I was just going to say that. EMS week is coming up this year. We're going to do 2 dates, something a little bit different. We're going to try and teach some community members, whoever wants to stop by, hands only CPR. If you give me 1 second, I'll give you the dates. It's the Tuesday and Thursday of EMS week. I apologize. It's on my Facebook or on our Facebook. But we're going to be out there for 2 hours each day to hopefully train as many people as we can in hands-only CPR and hopefully teach some people how to save a life. So that's one of the things we're doing for EMS Week.
May 21st, 9 to 11.
Thank you. So if you see it on the Facebook, share it, please. If you're out and about on those days, feel free to come down and learn hands-only CPR.
Okay, questions for Kyle?
I'd just like to mention, is Kyle, that they're looking to interview people from EMTs. So if anyone's interested, they call Naugatuck Ambulance. The number 729-5362. If they have any interest. Especially now that Naugatuck Ambulance is the place for EMTs to go as opposed to 3 years ago. It's the worst in the States. Premier of the state.
All right. Okay, thank you, Kyle. Stay in touch. Okay, item 8. Rural of Naugatuck Downtown Stabilization Incentive Grants. So as we know, we have delegated this to our tax incremental financing committee to set up criteria, procedures, applications. The committee will be meeting on May 19th, which is directly after we conclude the budget. So we didn't want to get those two mixed together. So when we finish the budget, we're going directly to that and other things. And that'll be the night when we discuss the criteria, the policy, the procedures. It is a public meeting, and we'll take input from anyone who wants to give us input. But we have a good team of people, and we see it through artificial intelligence. New research AI person. I'd like to introduce my summer intern, Marcello Cornacchia, who is the Borough AI expert, bringing us into the next century when it comes to research. So it's very helpful. Found some things very quickly that are interesting. But anyway, it's a public meeting, and that's when we will formulate the policy and procedure. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, item 9, facade improvement subcommittee update. So along the same lines, we are finalizing the application and the criteria. The criteria has already been defined by the borough board, but the application process is being finalized by the building inspector. But applications will be available, and we'll begin taking them toward the end of May. So it's going to be underway, and we'll proceed and reevaluate it as we go. Questions? Senior Center Activity Committee. So as we know, in our budget for the upcoming fiscal year, we've included a new part-time position to supplement programming at the Senior Center. So that is in the budget. And in addition to that, we have a subcommittee of Kim Gallo and Julie Rosenblatt, who are working on a variety of issues in an effort to improve programming and other things at the Senior Center. So Kim, Julie, do you have anything to report?
We met with Harvey. We talked about some specific things that we wanted more information from him on, and we gave him some more information about kind of ways to tighten things up. And we're hoping that helps with recruitment, with some consistency. And most importantly, to try to have some programs that interest younger seniors. I think that would be a good thing to do. It's what happens in other communities, and we've visited places so that we have some idea about what that looks like. That's pretty much it, right?
And Jim's.
Right.
Okay. And you're both involved in the efforts to seek a new person.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions or comments on the senior center?
I'm just glad we're looking at some us younger people.
Yes.
Junior senior.
Junior senior, there you go.
What is the cutoff for that?
I am not gonna say a number.
No,
Mama didn't raise no
Yeah,
fools.
yeah.
Okay.
You'll get hurt,
Yeah, there you go. Nicely done, nicely done.
Nice save, Jim.
or the more mature.
Yeah. Well, eight, so.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah.
Okay. Roll of Naugatuck development plans, everything is on schedule. Most of Church Street will be complete in June. In October, before October, everything will be complete. After Church Street, next is the Green. After the Green, Maple Street, and then the Maple Street Bridge. In that same time period, Rubber Avenue will be finished, and the old Firehouse Road and the streets around it and the rest of downtown will also be finished. So it's on schedule, and that's it. Any
What are your
questions?
mixed reviews regarding asphalt on Church Street by the Memorial Day parade? Is that gonna happen?
I'm gonna say probably not. I mean, the Memorial Day parade is in May, so.
Oh, I understand
They
that.
paved it in June, it seems like.
Well, so
Here's the
there
issue.
might be one down.
Oh, here's the issue. We could instruct them to put down an earlier first coat of asphalt, but they're advising against it and want us to put down the first and second coat back to back in June to get a much better, long-lasting finish. So, to expedite it, in the short term, I guess we could look at that.
I don't wanna expedite it for a parade. The thing is that back in January, February, when we pushed to have these guys come in and work during the winter and get paid more money, we were pretty much telling them we would like this road paved for the Memorial Day parade. And at that time, that's what was discussed. And now it's not gonna happen. I'm just bringing the issue up because people have come to me.
Yeah.
That's all.
I would say it's about a week off, and maybe it can be expedited, but I can't guarantee it.
Will it be flat enough and wide enough, and
Yes.
smooth enough to walk?
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree that that's, yeah, it could be an issue if it rains, it's gonna be muddy, like if you go out there today, it's muddy. But everyone that's complaining about where they're gonna stand at the Memorial Day parade, if their kids are gonna be in it, if they're gonna be, you know, be able to wave to their friends and do this and do that. I wanna see every one of those on the green when they have the real ceremony to honor those that died. Not just the hoopla and the fanfare and everything else in the parade. Don't run home after the parade is over. Go to the green, see what the thing is really about. See that it's about those that gave their lives for our country, not the bullshit. Leave it to your friends.
and I would
And
add,
I don't care if the streets are muddy, because guess what? We had people that died in it. They died in it. That's the important part.
I would also note that along the same lines, people should come at 5:15 in the morning to the green and go on a tour of all of our cemeteries and honor our veterans at the 13 cemeteries in or,
Oh, that's forbid to do that, that's boring.
well, but
And
that,
they can't complain about it on
I'm just
Facebook.
saying, if you really want to get a great feeling in your heart,
Yeah.
that is the most meaningful part of the ceremony,
It is.
5:15 a.m.
Excuse me? I'm sure if you make it inviting for people to come over and know that it's there, I'm sure you get a lot of people coming.
We've had this parade before most of the people in this room were even in on the front. And the same thing has been going on every single year. And it's announced, and the Veterans Council puts it out there and announces it. It's announced on the website, it's announced all about after it, it's announced at the podium during the parade. So it is out, it is put out there.
We can, maybe do a social media promotion also, supplement it.
I've already seen it on social media, but we can certainly do it again.
It has been, it's been there every year.
Yeah.
But as soon as the parade is over, it's an exodus. God, who wants to see what today's really about? Let's go have our hamburgers and hot dogs instead. Or drink it up.
Can't argue with you. I'm a Gold Star daughter, so I get it.
Okay, any, questions, comments on item 11?
Yes, Mayor, I want to make sure we're clarifying things. Everything's on schedule. There's no obvious problems with what's going on downtown currently. I have heard some rumors that there were issues with not enough planters being put in or electrical being run for all the lights. There's some issues. Is Kleinfelder's updates to you, have they indicated any problems along those lines with the paving, with the ability to be able to run the electrical, so we can have our new streetscape with street lighting and everything? Everything is on schedule?
Everything is on schedule. I would note that Eversource Electrical is, has been, difficult to deal with. Now, on Church Street, everything we need from Eversource is complete. The issues with Eversource now are on, Water Street and, Rubber Ave. And we're working with them and we're getting through them. But, as far as Church Street, the difficult issues with Eversource have been resolved. As far as the planters, we're getting new planters, and we're giving the old planters to Garden Club. And I would say we're gonna wind up with a lot more planters than we need. So there's no issue with planters. Now, exactly where you put them, there could be some debate, but I'll leave that up to others, Garden Club, et cetera, and the street department will place them whatever we determine to be the most appropriate location.
And lastly, when walking near it, the pavers just, it looks like there's something wrong. There's the area that between Ion and where the old CVS used to be, there's a few spots where it just doesn't come flush. It's like clearly lower. I don't know if that is a procedural thing and they have to grind stuff down. They're still not done with it. It just looks very uneven in a few spots.
Well,
I'm a little concerned.
They're not done, so first of all. But that is something that will be continually discussed at all the construction meetings and inspected, and they won't leave until they get it right. Now, exactly what you're talking about, I haven't seen it, but I would like you to send me a picture. Okay, Jim?
Yeah, I think you're talking about where the driveway aprons, where it converts from the sidewalk to an apron. And the bricks don't completely match in that location. Those get cut out, different brick band gets in those locations, as well as there's some areas around manholes and pillboxes that are off that have to be adjusted but they're out there on a daily basis finding any areas that are not done properly.
It's good to get it to the layman. When you walk by it,
Yes,
it looks like,
I
why
agree.
can't they put these bricks flush?
Because it looked like that to us as well, because I'm more used to do it as you go and fix everything. These guys, I guess they do it a lot, they find it's a much better product to lay the brick uniformly, go back there with a saw and cut it in place, and then you can have a lot less little fitting of tiny little pieces of brick. So
Did you say what a brick band is? I don't know what you're talking about.
they'll put what I understand is they'll put a different orientation of brick going along those points to tie those areas together.
Okay, like what you call a shim if it were wood, like to fill it in.
No, because right now they've got a herringbone pattern.
Yep.
Okay, and they're gonna be putting what do they call it, a running bond. So,
Okay.
you know, they'll be straight in different areas, along the curve, they're putting a running bond. So they lay the herringbone, and they go along, cut along the curve, and they stack the bricks next to each other. So I believe they're doing that in those areas where there's aprons.
Okay.
Good job, thanks, Jim.
Charlie,
This is having a hard time here.
I'm glad you brought that up, Charlie, because I noticed that, and I didn't, now that you mentioned it, is there where, like an apron would be.
Yeah, because the brick in the driveways is thicker than the brick in the sidewalks because of vehicles. So there's that transition there they have to do.
And yeah, it's very choppy. It's very, you'll walk through it without tripping or losing your stuff.
Did you see the same area down by, like, Guy Bank area?
Yeah, I'm talking about that area.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Jim K, there's a question on volume on Zoom. Regarding what? I don't
Can't hear.
know, Rocky.
They're in our
I just got a text saying, you're having trouble hearing.
Yeah, Megan texted me too, she's having trouble.
Yeah, that's somebody else.
We're maxed out, I mean.
I could hear, it's just very, like, you could tell the mics are like far away. It's mumbly.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes off of that, that's the heat.
I have to speak loud.
That's not a problem for me.
Jim, okay, we proceed?
Yeah, there's a
Go ahead.
couple of these that comes from that.
Anyway, that's all I have for questions.
Okay, any other questions on item 11?
Pete, just really quickly, you gave a list of what's gonna happen in order. It started with the green and it ended with the bridge. I think I missed one in there. Did you get
Maple
that?
Street,
I got Maple Street, both Firehouse Road.
let's back up, that's a separate project. So you have to remember, there's different projects.
Right,
But the Church Street projects, is Church, the Green, Maple, and the Maple Street Bridge. That's the infrastructure project that brings forth the utilities that have to be in place for all downtown construction. So
Right.
that is the first, the most important, and the major project that sets the way so the other properties can be developed.
right,
The secondary project includes Water Street, Old Firehouse Road, the new road that we're building from the train station to Firehouse Road, and a small portion of Rubber Avenue in front of that center.
right,
That is the Connecticut Community Challenge. We call it the Parcel 8B project. So that's a separate project.
okay,
That project and Rubber Avenue are both scheduled to be complete at the same time or sooner than the major downtown project. So these projects are running concurrently
okay,
and are on schedule, but they're separate projects.
okay. But the first thing was Church, Green, Maple Street, and then the Maple Street Bridge.
Yep.
I didn't miss anything.
Correct.
I thought I missed one. All right, just wanna make sure I have it. Thank you.
Actually, I apologize. Yeah. One more question for the adaptive development. And Jim, I'm glad you're here because a lot of people are noticing. If you drive up Rubber Avenue, the storm drains, the new ones that they put in. You have some, like near the Portuguese Club, remarkably above the road. And then you have some that are kind of sunken in other parts. Was the old Rubber Avenue that out of whack? That as we're doing this, that was the differential between what would have been flush versus what currently is?
Yeah, there's two things going on. Rubber Avenue wasn't level. So it was tilted to one side all over the place. And trust me, it's an optical illusion because we were like, oh my God, there's something really wrong. We went out there several times and had the surveyors check the grades between the curbs on either side of the road. And they're really close to being perfect. So there's also areas where there's parking being installed on the side of the road. So those curbs are even lower so that you can continue to transition the road down into those parking areas. So, yes, to answer your question, they're bringing up the side of the road that is low so that the road is now can be properly crowned, the water can stay on the sides like it's supposed to.
Will that help with storm,
It should,
handling
it
storm
should.
flow and
It's all-
everything else?
I mean, now you got some of the basics, as I said, are high and not collecting water. Some were extremely low and were covered over with dirt, so they weren't collecting as much water as they should either. But in the finished product, we should be much better with the new drainage than we've ever been.
Nice case study engineer.
And yeah, the catch basin in front of the Portuguese Club,
That was amazing.
they're trying to level out the roundabout, so it's more level than the road. I'm still a little bit interested how that's gonna turn out. The assurance is that it's correct.
Thank you.
Kleinfelder is supplementing the Weston and Sampson design, on that, correct?
Exactly. As problems come up, and there have been some issues with entrances in the buildings, and we've been tweaking things here and there. But it should be good when it's done, there's no doubt about that. That is it.
Any further questions on okay, item 12, fiscal year 25-26 budget, townwide facilities reorganization plan. I put this on the agenda to give anyone an opportunity to speak. As you know, we've completed our budget and it's been published. We'll have a public hearing on the 12th, and we'll be adopting the budget on the 14th. This board has voted 3 times to make sure that we have a 2 mil rate decrease, which is what the budget calls for. And just remember, when you do a budget, it's not rocket science. You have several pots. You have services you want to provide, you have the tax rate, and if you want to increase services, you've got to decrease something else to make it balance. So I think as a group, the joint boards have put together a well-balanced plan that helps education a lot. Maybe not as much as they asked for, but it helps them more than they've ever been helped before. It reduces the mill rate and it continues to increase services. So as people think about things, just remember that at the end of the day, it's got to be a balance. So if you want to add something here, you got to subtract something over here. So
Just like the roads, right?
think about that. Just like your household budget. Okay, anyone have a question, comment, or thought going into the adoption process? Okay.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses approve the reappointment of Evan Gendron Jr., 50 Rayron Circle, Naugatuck, as a regular landlord commissioner of the Fair Rent Commission, term to expire May 1st, 2029.
Second motion.
Okay, any discussion on Kevin, other than he's excellent?
Great ice cream.
Yeah.
Good.
I will say Kevin's excellent, and he's been a member of the Fair Rent Commission. He's at all the meetings, offers excellent input, gives a very good perspective of the landlord's point of view when needed, but is also fair in his judgment. So he's done a very good job so far.
Good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgesses authorize Mayor Hess to sign all contracts and related documents for the road acceptance of Barnum Court as borough accepted and maintained road.
Second motion.
Okay. So first of all, Barnum Court has never been legally accepted, but as a practical matter, it is accepted in the sense that we plow it, we maintain it, we pave it, so it's already really a town road. But for the downtown project with Eversource, not with the main project, but with hooking up the buildings. There are some buildings that can benefit by bringing the electricity from the rear down Barnum Court. And to the back of their buildings, it's a better route, which will mean that they won't have to have structures in front of their building that would be unsightly. So Eversource would not do that without charging exorbitant sums to the businesses, but they have to do it if it's a town road. So by making it a town road, we will be helping the businesses by allowing them to get electricity through Barnum Court without having to build structures in the sidewalks that would be unsightly. So, and normally I would like accepting a road that would require us to provide services. Well, we're already providing the services.
Right.
So, and whenever you have additional roads, we get more money from townwide aid from the state. So there's certainly no reason not to accept it in my judgment.
Our report is only a couple hundred feet.
Yeah.
And if we're already providing the services, then the cost is over here.
Yeah.
It's not gonna cost us anything. If anything, it's gonna cost Eversource. If it's gonna cost Eversource, I'm in favor.
Good point.
All right, any further discussion on Barnum Court? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 15, displaced persons relocation plan and policy. I handed this out, and I'll try and give you some background here. I know that Fran is intimately familiar with it. So whenever there's a fire and someone is displaced, or the building inspector closes down a building for safety reasons, there is a state law that requires municipalities to assist the residents in finding housing. And let's just say it's not a well-written law, and it's ambiguous, and there's a lot of holes in it. So what we've done is we've put together a plan and ultimately a policy that outlines a procedure that we will follow that gives our enforcement team the ability to provide housing and to limit the amount of the borough's liability. So, it's funny, this is not funny, but in my first 9 years as mayor, this didn't come up too often. In the last year and a half, we've had quite a few major fires and displacements, and it's becoming an issue. So this policy will just sort of heighten our ability to enforce and provide housing, comply with the law, more efficient. It's something we probably should have had, 40, 50 years ago, but we don't have a real policy on record. So this takes the procedures that we've done in the past and adds a little extra to it. And by the way, we have a point person appointed who is Heather from the building inspector's office, is our relocation coordinator. Over the years, it was done by the mayor's aide. It was done by emergency management for a while. Going forward, it will be done by the relocation coordinator.
I have a question.
Yes.
I didn't read the law itself. It looks like a person can apply and be given $4,000. What happens if they've got alternately expense coverage under their insurance policy?
Well, if you read it further, you look at the insurance first. If they have insurance, that you, yeah, by the way, I gotta qualify the, there's different situations. There's, let's say a homeowner fire, they have homeowners insurance. That's, some of the other situations are a little more complex and different. There's foreclosures, there's people who aren't paying their rent. There's a lot of different situations. So the policy, gives us the ability to put a maximum cap on the amount. And if someone challenges it, it strengthens our position because we have a policy. In other words, not having a policy, it's difficult to say, well, this is the way we always do it. This is gonna be our plan, our policy, and it puts us in a better situation if someone challenges it.
If you look across the state, there's been a number of lawsuits, especially in the bigger cities. That, because they didn't have a policy, or they had a policy, they didn't follow the policy. There was suits up into the $750,000 range just for not having a policy. And then it's very hard to go back later and say, oh, we didn't give them this much because of this. Well, you don't have a policy that says that. And Hartford, you know, I checked with Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, and they all were sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars over one incident. Now, during the time I was writing this, we had seven families displaced at Lantern Park. Then we had another 8 families displaced at Southwood Apartments. And then we had 3 families displaced. And there was more families displaced in this 1 year period of time than, as Chief Hank said, in the 30 years he was on the fire department. And so, you know, this brought it a little bit more to light that we have to do something, because we don't want to wind up like the Bridgeport, Hartford, the New Haven, who were sued over not having a policy.
Okay, any questions? All right, I will entertain a motion that we adopt a document entitled Rural Target Relocation Plan as the rural policy to deal with relocations under the Uniform Relocation Act in the Connecticut General Statute.
So moved.
Second option.
Okay, do we have any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the bids for contract fiscal year 26-B122 for electrical, plumbing, and HVAC services to the following vendors as per bid, as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart. As if read, contract shall commence upon vendor completing all borough requirements, and the purchase order is received by the vendor.
Second motion.
And not just do
No complaints on our part.
Yeah. These are our bids, we go out annually. Our accounting department did it in 2 phases this year, so we awarded some last year. This is our second round. And we have one that we didn't get, so we'll be back here again next month, and one more and a few additional vendors, and we should close out our vendor list for the upcoming fiscal year. Labor materials, we get a list. These companies, we award to all of them. It's more of a request for qualifications, and then they price out different materials, aggregates, and services that they can provide us. All of our projects are basically, unless it's a product that's based on lower price, all of our projects are typically, we get pricing from all of them if that's their niche, whether it's concrete, roofing, or so we award to everybody that lists, and then we go by the pricing quotes.
Okay, questions for Sandra?
Nice job.
Questions, just, I know of everybody on this list, and I don't know him personally, I know him through business.
Right.
I just want to point out Steve Russo, who I didn't know until we had the house fires that we just talked about.
Oh, on the electrical.
On the electric,
Oh, okay,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
But, yeah, when we had those, and it was in the middle of the night, and the people that own Southwood Apartments were having a haunt and everything, and had he not come out, he probably saved us. And not charged the borough, he probably saved us $20,000-$30,000 in housing fee for people that would have been displaced if he didn't come out. Because the 8 families that were displaced, there would have been another 7 families displaced because we would have had to shut the power down the entire building. He came out on his own time, isolated the electrical for those buildings in the middle of the night, so we didn't have to house everybody. And, you know, that's the type of person he is. That was the first time I ever met him, first time I ever saw him, so I can't endorse him, but as a business person, he did what was right for the town.
So when we do get to electrical, I'll jump ahead a little bit, make a comment, but when we do get to the electrical, we award the same to all the vendors also, because we get pricing, we go by hourly rates. But it's not necessarily the hourly rates. For example, Fran just mentioned Steve Russo, his hourly rate might be a little bit higher, but one of my projects that I could personally attest to is I got a $37,000 price and he came in at $6,000. He said, can I come in between jobs and, you know, do a little bit? Is it a rush? I'm like, nope, it was just kind of, and it was a huge difference. So that hourly rate doesn't matter because at the end of the day, that hourly rate, the other company was telling me it was gonna take 5 guys 7 days, and it took him and his son 2 days or 3 days to do that. So that's why we try to keep a running list of vendors so we're pretty familiar with what things cost and you know, sometimes we're a little surprised, but for the most part, we know what they cost. So if we feel like somebody's kind of going in the wrong direction, we just call another vendor and we have the opportunity to do that with this list.
Okay, any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the bids for contract fiscal year 26-B116 for the purchase of tires and service to the following vendors as per bid, as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart as a Fred. Contract shall commence upon vendor completing all borough requirements and the purchase order is received by vendor.
Second. Recycling?
17.
That's 17.
So now I'm selling the bids for the other ones, those are the plumbers, you were right, you were. Purchase of tires and services, that's the same, we have 3 companies. We do have, Nuggets of Tire is on our wave bid list next door, so those are the tires that we regularly use. These, for the most part, are our large vehicles, our large loaders, backhoes, and our large 10-wheelers. We always price them out depending on what the truck is, from other vendors with the large truck.
Okay. Questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the bids for contract fiscal year 26-B117 for general construction equipment, roof repairs, labor and material rates to the following vendors as per bid is recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart as a Fred. Contract shall commence on vendor completing all borough requirements and the purchase order is received by vendor.
Second motion. This is the same as 16, everybody gets awarded and we price out the better rated.
All right, any discussion on item 18? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Notice I'm not overseeing that last sentence that I always forget. Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the bids for fiscal year 26-B121 for hauling and recycling services to the following vendors as per bid, as recommended by Park Superintendent Sandra Lucas Rivera as a Fred. Contract shall commence on vendor completing all borough requirements and the purchase order is received by vendor.
Second motion. The hauling recycling is different from the other ones since it's a specific vendor, it's the lowest bidder, and whether or not we have a history with the company. If we've done business with them and if they're, you know, they have good references, it's a competitive market. Stone Construction does our tires and leaves. I think I've had Stone Construction for the market of tires and leaves for the last 10 years. Anastasio and Sons, they're our current bulk hauling. They held their price from the year before. The others went up substantially. Continental Scrap, their metals dropped a little. They give us a rebate. We don't pay for the metal. They actually pay us for the metal, so their rebate's gone down a little bit. But the other companies, they charge you for the container, they charge you for the hauling, and we always make out well with Continental. Interstate Waste is taking the single stream from USA this year. They were down by about $20. But there wasn't, surprisingly, there wasn't a large change from last year in any of the hauling at the transfer station. We're hoping the tires come off this year because it's $2,800 every time we haul that container of tires. It's probably 2 or 3 times a year, but they are going through a bill right now that they're gonna almost do like the mattresses. So hopefully we won't have to charge the residents and we won't get charged for disposing them.
Any questions on item 19? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the bid for contractors fiscal year 26-3127 for rental of portable toilets to Connecticut Potty Rentals LLC, Boynton Street, Waterbury, as per bid, as recommended by Park Superintendent Sandra Lucas Rivero. Contract shall commence on vendor completing all borough requirements, and the purchase order is received by vendor.
Second motion. These are the portlets you see at our events at all of our game fields. Connecticut Potty Rentals took over last year. When I got off of the state bid went up substantially. So we got pricing from 3 companies because it was mid-year. Connecticut Potty Rentals came in. This year I went to formal bid to give opportunities to other companies to bid. And they actually like doing business with us, so they actually went down from their last year by almost $20 a unit. So they are the low bidder, and we're planning on boarding, hoping to award to Potty Rentals. Their service is great. They've helped us out with a couple of jams, and we call them and they show up. So
You need to make sure the water in Andrew Mountain Park is heavy, because it gets blown over by the wind here and there.
I know, that's our responsibility to secure it, so we'll try to figure out something that could put it in front of a tree or something.
There's a tree there, we need some time.
Did Enviro flush, bid on it?
He did.
All right, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Most of the Board of Mayor and Burgess approved bid for contract year fiscal year 26-3113 for fireworks display July 4, 2025, rain date July 5th, 2025, to Central Maine Pyrotechnics, DBA Pyro City, Maine, Hallowell, Maine, in the amount of $25,000, as recommended by Superintendent Parks Sandra Lucas Rivero. Contract shall commence on vendor completing all our requirements, and the purchase order is received by vendor.
Second motion. Central Maine Pyrotechnics has been our provider for the last 5 or 6 years, I would say. They're amazing to work with. We show up when they say they're gonna show up. They bring the products they're supposed to. They meet all the guidelines of the state fire marshal and the local fire marshals, so we're very happy with them. So we're planning on rewarding. And in the past, I know the mayor had announced last month that, fireworks were gonna actually be on 4th of July. The other companies used to have a huge markup if we wanted it on 4th of July, and we try to stay away from it. And he's gonna hold the same price as the 4th of July. So we are hoping on that day this year.
Where will they be shot from?
They will be shot from Briggs. We're going back to South, bring South for now.
Right. Also, remember, Sandra, that we'll probably supplement that number with some donations so we can get some super duper special extras for the fireworks show.
We just gotta do it if you want this. I tried to include something special last year and they put in their orders to China.
Oh, no.
There we go.
I don't know what to tell you. You guys want a show, you get a show. I can't offer them it. But anyway, so it's hard to, but I'm sure it'll be accommodating.
Well,
Yeah, but we
let's
can.
find out as soon as we can.
The timeline, yeah.
Just for our orders. Did you say they can shoot an N in the sky?
Oh, yeah, we're getting it in. That's gonna kick off the show at the end.
Starts with an N?
Yeah.
What about-
They're gonna do dog and something. I was like, no, we're not going down that road. People are gonna be like, and then like a minute later, the A comes.
Yeah, yeah.
No, the N was sufficient.
Maybe if you lived in Kent.
Yes.
All right, any questions or comments on item 21? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Not opposed.
Right.
Motion of the Board of Maine Burgesses waive bid for installation of playground and splash pad equipment to Grasshopper Lawns, 45 McClellan Drive, Oakville, in the amount not to exceed $100,000 as recommended by Park Superintendent Sandra Lucas Rivero.
So last month we awarded to the manufacturer of the parts. I did take delivery on about 80% of the equipment that what we need to start to install. This company is Grasshopper Lawns. They did work with us years ago. They used to actually be located out of Naugatuck. I got a reference from another town that had used them. $100,000 isn't the number for the install. Right now, it is $68,000. I have $100,000 because one of their niches also is installing playground equipment. And I want them as an option if I could get the playground equipment before July 1, which I'm hoping to do that, to finish the park in its entirety. Or if something comes up that we need to add on the splash pad. But he came in at $68,000. That's with a substantial amount of work on our end, on Jeremy's end with his crews, getting everything graded and all that. Two of the vendors, which are on the consortiums that we award to, the state bid, the Sourcewell consortiums, one came in at $110,000, the other one came in at $180,000 for installation. So right now, budgetary wise, we're in good shape with this company and this number, so I'd like to work to them so we can get the ball rolling with the splash pad now.
Why are we listing it as waiving the bid?
We're waiving the bid because he's not a vendor and we didn't go to formal bid. So we do have two numbers from state bidders, so if we get the third number that's less than a state bidder, that's where we stand at waiving the bid to them.
Gotcha.
And Doug is a very meticulous guy, so he'll do an excellent job.
Just people listening and so forth, just mention where the park is going to be. So I don't
The
think-
splash pad is going in the Hopbrook, on Crown Street in the Hopbrook playground. It'll be a splash pad, it'll be a playground with swing sets and playscape also, and benches and tables where people could have lunch. That's the case.
Is the July 1 the goal to open it?
I'm not setting a goal. A lot of things happen when we start digging in the ground. I'm hoping for July 1. That's why I wanted that money in advance for the, to have him as an option to install the playground. So I'm hoping once he's there, he'll just say, hey, we'll install it for whatever price without me having to wait for an installer or whatever in New Hampshire or Texas. So we're hoping for that. Jeremy's, we had a target date for him to start, for Jeremy to finish, but this week just killed us with the rain. But we're trying to get back on track.
All right. Any further discussion on item 22? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion of the Board of Maine Burgesses authorize Mayor Hess to enter into a contract with Belfort Property Restoration, 30 North Plains Industrial Road, Wallingford, for remediation and repairs to the DPW garage, 510 Rubber Avenue, in the amount of $76,103.94, as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second motion.
All right, now, first of all, Jim's going to explain this, but this is covered by insurance, so this money will be taken care of by our insurance carrier. But having said that, Jim, why don't you give us the background too?
Yeah, so this damage was caused by obviously the flood. They had 6 inches of water. Public Works Department, Jeremy's been so busy. We're finally getting around to dealing with the affected bill. We got obviously an estimate from the insurance company. We contacted Belfort and they went through and gave us another estimate that value is $76,000. We expect that with our insurance payments, we do have a $50,000 deductible. We will be getting 75% of that back. With our insurance, some modification we've done on the work to be done. We're expecting to easily complete the work with our insurance coverage and our fees reimbursed. That's great.
It's covered by insurance and
FEMA.
both together.
Exactly. We applied for it. Yeah.
And insurance accepted Belfort's numbers? Looks like it was done like on an exactimate estimate?
Yes, exactly. The Belfort gave us an estimate based on what the insurance company was using, and they went in, they found additional damage, and we submitted that to the insurance company. And we're waiting for them to come back and say, yes, you're right, you gotta meet code, you gotta all this issue, so.
So this is what they sent you, it's not the one they sent to the insurance company. There's
No.
no calculations on it.
No, I think you got, which one you have.
This one, it just looks like 32 hours, but no calculation on that line. So strictly a working document, not an estimate for approval from the insurance company.
Yes, then we have an insurance document as well.
Gotcha, no, that's okay, as long as the insurance paying for it, it's fine.
Yep.
All right, any questions or discussion on item 23?
I do have a, like a question about the FEMA. Is this we were part of a group of towns that applied for FEMA money?
No, we have our own fund.
We just went all one on our own?
Yeah.
The areas in the county have to reach a certain threshold. Once you've met that threshold, you get your funding, and then you work individually.
So we get that threshold. and
Yes,
we'll get-
now any project that's over $3,500, can get.
That's for municipality.
Municipality.
It's not for the
It's not right.
individual. And what happens is there has to be there's a state threshold, and then there's a county threshold. And then, it comes down to local, they've all met that. That's the criteria.
Yeah, Oxford in and of itself.
Yeah,
So,
that was-
Yeah.
In Southbury, there's still a couple roads that are closed.
Yeah.
We still have local.
That's there, yeah, Borrego Grove, there's one that's been mentioned earlier.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion on the Board of Maine Burgess approve Tyra Program Consultants Incorporated, 3910 Highway 45 North Meriden, Missouri, as an approved vendor to continue to provide goods and/or services upon passage and through June 30th, 2026, and to authorize Mayor Hess to execute all contracts and related documents as recommended by Controller Allison W. Bruce.
Is Allison on the line?
No, but I know what this is
Well,
for.
then, let's turn it over to Jim K.
So, Arbor Consulting is, he's written some code for us. We have a small software program that we're currently using to take the Board of Education's payroll data and bring it into ADP for tax purposes. He wrote a small interface. We're looking at another small interface to work with the police department scheduling software to be able to move their hours, massage them so they can go directly to ADP and take the human element out of it. That's what this is for, is to create the purchase order so that I can work with accounting to make sure we can get some code that's gonna meet all of our deals that we have. And we have a secondary report that we're gonna try to figure out of quality data, which is our assessment program for our top 150 delinquents. Jim McGrath likes it a very specific way, and I feel that it's cheaper and more efficient to have Tarver Consulting write a small program to take the data than to spend 6 to 8 hours of my time or Felix's time or anybody else to massage that data, as we could be doing something else and we only have to pay for this once and we'll do it the same way every time. So that in a nutshell is what we're at.
So we're just making them an approved vendor.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any discussion on item 24? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion of the Board of Maine purchases adopt the following fair housing resolution as it read.
All right, so as we all know, we're required to have a fair housing plan. And we have in the past, and we're continuing with. This is the plan, and, vote. Any questions on the fair housing plan? All right, roll call vote. Megan Smith,
Yes.
Dorothy Neff-Cunin,
Yes.
Frank Bosco,
Yes.
Bob Neff. Yes. Rocky Vitale.
Yes.
Tony, yes. Judy,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize Mayor and Warren P. Hess to enter into an agreement with Down to Earth Consulting LLC in an amount not to exceed $7,650 for environmental services at 600 Rubber Avenue.
Right, so this is environmental work that should have been done a long time ago. And in order to sell the property, we're gonna have to do some additional monitoring. So this is the monitoring that we will do, and then we will proceed to sell the property.
Still be in it.
Yeah, and I really don't know what happened, but quite some time ago, when it appeared all the work was done, the monitoring was not followed up for several years. And it has to be monitored for several years to comply with each requirement.
And is this, how long is this?
Depends what the customers are.
So the 7650 is for our first initial look at this?
I think it's a little beyond that. It's what we think we need.
Yep.
Now, if the testing doesn't come back as we hope, we may have to go further, but we don't know that yet. Any questions on 26?
Let me ask you, is that for the fact that it used to be a gas station at one time? Or is it for the fact that the building was full of mold and we had to redo it?
I believe, I believe it's underground.
Okay.
Yes, petroleum storage.
Yeah,
tanks.
That used to be like food bag or something.
Yeah.
Any further questions on item 26? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize Mayor and Warren P. Hess to enter into an agreement with Down to Earth Consulting LLC in an amount not to exceed $2,000 to complete the initial 5-year inspection and reporting required by Connecticut Deep of the ELUR at 615A Church Street.
It should be North Church.
It's an N, not an A. So, we have a second? Julie?
Yes, I did.
So, little quiz, where is 615 North Church Street?
It's gotta be golf course.
Very good.
Next to 614.
So it's the,
Across the street, not 614.
it's the second hole,
And that, only addition of 6.
second hole green. That a long time ago, there was an issue at the adjoining factory next to it that potentially started heading in that direction. So I don't know how long ago, but 20 years ago or so, Deep ordered us to do this work, and it wasn't done. So we're finishing it now, but there's no problem there. I mean, it's we're agreeing we're never gonna build anything residential on the second green above golf course. So I think we can live with that.
That's a good thing. Stop working.
Yeah. Yeah. I got enough.
Where's the Smitty's house?
I got enough to work around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's enough to.
All right, questions on item 27? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize Mayor and Warren P. Hess to enter into an agreement with Down to Earth Consulting LLC in an amount not to exceed $4,025 for environmental services at DPW Garage, 510 Rubber Avenue.
Second motion.
Okay, Jim, you want to take this?
This is, again, sampling to check out how the underground situation from the leaking oil tanks years ago. We ran the system for many years. It was clean. It was dumping in the sewer after it went through the frac tanks. So then we shut the system down, but there was still, what it was bringing me was still oil in shallow rock undulations of the pool oil. So we were suggested to let it naturally attenuate and sample it once in a while. I sampled a couple of years ago and still had an issue. So this would be one more sample to see if it's gotten to the point where we can then do our I think it requires 4 quarters of clean samples to then close out the project.
So obviously, Deep has reviewed their files going back 20, 25 years and have uncovered things that were never completely closed out by the borough. So we are closing them out.
That's a speedy process.
They mustn't have anything to do with it.
Speedy process.
All right, any questions on item 28? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess to adopt the following municipal resolution in support of the 2025 community connectivity application as a read.
Okay, so we are continuing to apply for state money. This particular request is to, I'm going to say, finish some loose ends around the downtown area. So this is mostly the Meadow Street portion of the green and areas that are not in bad shape, but to be consistent with the rest of our downtown program should be addressed. So all we're doing here is applying for funding to complete that project. So this is the same project that we used successfully to do Church Street by the YMCA and around the station. So this is a great program. It worked out well, and it's available. It's coming up again. So rather than using town funds to finish it, we're going to apply for state funding.
We do have to supply so much help.
20%.
That's a very good point, Rocky. So let's look at that.
It's
20% local match, it says.
So we don't know if it's gonna be 20,000 or 160,000.
Hold on.
It's a pretty good range.
Jim,
Yes.
what do the numbers look like on this?
Well, it says it's a 20% grant, so depending on how much we put in for it.
What are we putting in for?
I don't think we've determined that exactly. Last grant was, I think, $300,000, so.
All right, so 60 grand. Yeah. Okay. I would spend 60 than 300.
Investment.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any questions on item 29? Burgess Galloway,
Yes.
Burgess Moringa,
Yes.
Burgess Bronco,
Yes.
Burgess Rosenblatt, and yes. Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
former Deputy Mayor,
See.
Fran Denbosch,
Yes.
Dorothy Neptune,
Yes.
Megan Smith.
Yes.
Okay, roll call passes. Item 30.
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess to adopt the following resolution for the Connecticut Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program as a read.
Okay, so as we all know, we are a small city, and every several years, funding is available for certain portions of the town. There are only certain portions of Naugatuck that qualify for this. Cherry Street area is one of them. So we've previously done a small cities grant to work on drainage in the Cherry Street area. We've also incorporated some of those issues into our industrial park project. But there are some final pieces that can enhance it. In other words, we got $1 million in the last grant, and the million enabled us to do a large portion of it, but not everything. So this is a request to get additional funding to complete and tighten up some of the drainage in the neighborhoods in that general area. In other words, the water coming off of Hunter's Mountain that starts drifting down into the lower areas. A lot of it has been taken care of. But Jim, will this finish the project or come close?
From what I understand, this takes care of another third of it. There's still one more section after that.
Well, we're gonna design it in a way so that we'll get the best use of the funds to maximize the drainage issue.
This would connect the Spencer Street area and Pleasant Avenue through to Cherry Street and actually get the water to. Floods we had were a lot due to debris that people had in their backyards, but also water wasn't getting into the pipes fully that we installed. So this would be the industrial park that the mayor's doing. Those pipes will run all the way down under the railroad tracks out to the river. So that'll take that neighborhood issue much better. We're also regrading Old Langston's property down from Cherry Street. So even in those aren't flooding event, their flood waters couldn't get as high as they were prior, because right now they're in a bowl. Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year.
They're in a bowl now. We're going to be cutting out, regrading the property downhill of that, so that maybe it still collects some water, but it'll be a lot less.
Okay. Again, this is a competitive grant, so we don't automatically get it, but we're going to do it. Any questions on item 30? Okay. Roll call. Yep.
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Lynn, yes, Rocky.
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
See.
Megan.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess to adopt the following municipal resolution for the Connecticut Deep Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Program as a threat.
Second motion.
Okay, so we all know that we have received $5,754,000 for the Wilbur Avenue Corridor Revitalization Project. That's the title of it. The essence of it is
You're on
sidewalk.
32 there, but 31 is the watershed. You're ahead of us.
I'm on 32.
Yeah, but you're on 31.
You're doing Guntown.
All right. I'd like the record to cancel my last remarks. Now start over, addressing item 31. Item 31 is the acquisition of the Wilmot property through the open space grant, which we've already voted on and approved, but the state wanted us to add a sentence or two to our resolution. So all this does is add that sentence, which will allow us to complete the acquisition of open space at the Wilmot property. Questions? All right, roll call.
Yes.
Kim, Gallo, yes. Renge,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
yes. Rocky.
Yes.
Bob, yes. Fran,
Yes.
Dorothy, Megan,
Yes.
motion passes unanimously.
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess to adopt the following municipal resolution, Community Investment Fund, Rubber Avenue Corridor Revitalization Project as a FRED.
Second motion.
Okay, getting back to where I started before, this is essentially the project that deals with sidewalks in the Scott Street area, drainage in the Nettleton Avenue, Etna Street area, and the design of the new street department building, and ambulance building on the former Lisbon site, which will pave the way for selling the street department, ambulance building, and getting both of those properties on the ground. And we do, so we've already applied, we got the money. This just authorizes me to sign the final document. And we're reiterating, we already voted on the match, so we're just reiterating it. Yep. Kim,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
I am yes, Rocky.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Dorothy.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess abate the taxes for the following properties as recommended by tax collector James Goggin as a FRED.
Second motion.
Okay, so these are, not gonna go through them individually, but most of them are borough properties that we now own, at least with Tom's Fireman, Haberfield Enterprise, and the next four are properties that we own. And the first one is an individual who passed away and has no estate. And the second one is a business that closed and has no assets. New England Development, it's sort of an error. It was a combined lot. So we've been taxing two lots and it was one lot. So there was a mistake in the paperwork in the assessor's office. So we're just correcting that mistake. And the last item is a mobile home that was, well, it was demolished, destroyed, taken off the site, has no value. And on a positive side, they put a brand new unit there, which is taxed at obviously a much higher rate. So we are working with all of our mobile home parks to get rid of units. Now remember, with a mobile home, our only remedy is to take the mobile home. So if it's worthless and we take it, we have to demolish it and get rid of it. And we wind up spending money rather than collecting money. So what we do is we work with the mobile home parks. We have them demolish the unit, get rid of it, and put a new one up, which will generate real revenue for us because it is collected. Any questions on any of the 10 items in item 33? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion of the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorized Controller Alice W. Bruce to refund the following tax refunds approved by tax collector James Goggin as a FRED.
If anyone wants to know why there are so many E&N holdings, that is a enterprise car leasing company, and usually they send things in every month. For this reason, they sent them all in simultaneously, so. Other than that, I think everything is standard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? public comment? Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment? Either live or on Zoom?
Hand up.
We have one on Zoom. All right. Kristen, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Because of audio issues, we were unable to hear some of the beginning stuff. My question is, I have written down on a note, AI intern question mark. That's all I got. So my question is, there was an intern announced at the beginning, and I got AI.
We can't hear you. It's a little garbled. I don't understand.
Can you repeat your question?
Oh, it sounds like we're having audio issues today. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
The earlier part of the meeting was difficult to understand. Would you be able to restate? You said that there's an intern. Hello, intern. Is that the intern?
That's him. Stand up. Marcello. He's our intern, and he is, among other things, doing research for us. And he utilizes artificial intelligence as one means of research. And all I was really doing, Kristen, was introducing him. He's a second-year student at Marist University, and he's learning and working, and we're happy to have him with us.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. It was just, I heard intern, garble, garble, AI, garble, garble. So that's all. Thank you.
Any further public comment? Hearing none, we'll go to Burgess comments. Mix it up a little bit. All right, I'm going to start with Julie Rosenberg.
Nothing other than what we talked about at the senior center. Nothing really coming out of the schools. They have honors night coming up, I think, May 22nd. And then I'm gonna award 2 scholarships that Howard's made to the trades, 2 kids that are in the trades.
Oh, great, that's cool.
Yeah,
Very appropriate.
yeah, as recommended by the teacher.
Which teacher?
Tatiana, that taught the trades.
Yeah, okay.
And Yolanda, but mostly Tatiana's. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'd be
Mike?
nice.
Charlie?
Fran spoke to it earlier, Memorial Day coming up. We won't probably be meeting before then. The importance of the ceremonies. We discussed the possibility of making sure we get the word out about the early morning ceremonies. In particular, the ceremony after the parade. It's always important we take time to remember those that gave the last full measure of devotion to our country. And the freedom we have is a gift that they gave us. And make every effort to get out there and show the respect that needs to be done and bring young people, because how we teach our children. Children are watching everything we do, and how we act and things we bring them to are important. And Memorial Day, more than just banners and music, it's about a real important remembrance of why we are where we are today. I wore my Army shirt today. 250th anniversary of the United States Army will be happening in June. And we have the Navy and Marines coming up in November. But this is important. We're coming into I remember in 1976, the bicentennial being a big deal. We are
the 250th anniversary of our country becoming a country. And I think starting with Memorial Day, we should really lock into that importance as a community and make sure we're there to celebrate and support and show our respects.
Well stated.
Absolutely.
Tim?
I agree with what Charlie said. I've always been proud of the fact that we live in a very patriotic community that has shown great respect for veterans, for Memorial Day and so forth. Frank Johnson started a beautiful ceremony at Naugatuck High School, and it continues to this day. Our students are exposed to some very good role models and information. I'm also glad, Marcello, that we cleared up that you are a real intern and not an AI one. I can't imagine what that sounded like to someone who's getting a garbled reception. But I did find it pretty funny. Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan?
I was just gonna say, you're not.
Hi. Just two quick things. The first was I did want to tag on along with what Charlie and Fran had mentioned about the Memorial Day stuff. Last year was my first year attending the early morning, going around to the cemeteries, and it was really something special to be a part of. And Charlie taught me a lot on that morning. He was giving me lots of history of the town and things that I didn't know, and I've lived here my whole life. So it was very eye-opening and really nice to be a part of. And the second thing is I just wanted to recognize a member of our community that unexpectedly passed away over the weekend. Kenny Gross, who was a huge part of Union City Little League. Peter J. Foley was a big cornerstone to a lot of the youth in the community. So I just wanted to take a moment to recognize him and his family and that they're in our prayers.
Thank you.
Just wanted to recognize that today is National Nurse Day and to just show our appreciation to all those who are nurses. And also it is the Teacher Appreciation Week. So we want to acknowledge and appreciate all the teachers that we have in our community and
Thank you. Fran?
Yeah, first I'd like to thank Sandy and Jim for the presentations. It shows that, you know, when they're looking for vendors and so forth, they just don't go to the state list and say, okay, this is, you know, they take the extra step and they are, that's part of that. Okay to vote on something that you really never had Sandy in 5 years.
Great to stand there.
Smart
guy.
Once again, I appreciate that. The next thing is not a political statement by any means. We're talking about veterans, and there's been some talk that possibly Veterans Day will be changed to World War I. And it originally started as Armistice Day.
Correct, that's
where it started from, and you know, now we're talking about it going back to it, so it's in the name. But what I would like is that, regardless of what happens, and you know, that's not for us to debate. I would like Naugatuck to adopt a resolution to say that locally, regardless of what the holiday is, it will be a day that we honor veterans. All veterans. Because, you know, and I don't know what federally the plans are, but this is Naugatuck. Very patriotic. I would like to see that happen. And that, once again, I don't care what happens with the feds. This is our time, and we should, you know, honor our veterans as we do all the time. One thing regarding grants, there's still, I hear people saying, "How come Naugatuck is getting so many grants?" And that's our tax. Yeah, it's our tax money. But if we don't apply, and if we don't get it, another community is going to get it.
And they are.
So it's not like the taxes are gonna go down if we don't get these grants.
No, they're not.
Somebody's gonna spend that money, and the way I figure it might as well be Naugatuck is, you know, we deserve to have a great community.
That's the ROI of your tax dollar.
Yeah, that's the return on investment, you know, no matter whether it comes federally, or state, and as we know, the rumors go crazy. No, Church Street has not been worked on for the past 5 years. They didn't start the construction 5 years ago. And I keep seeing that, and it irks me, but never let the facts get in the way of the story. And I found since retirement, you guys stay off of Facebook. It's crazy.
It's his favorite place.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, you have AI, artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
and you also have AI, authentic ignorance. So be careful with that.
And Charlie, thank you for presenting the case on Memorial Day, much more eloquently than I did earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank you.
Pete, can I just bring up one thing on, if you're gonna do something on Flag Day, which June 14th, can we get a feeler out to people who have become new citizens and maybe enter?
So-
We talked about that before.
Just so you know, there is a Flag Day event at the Oaks Club every year.
Right.
So they should be invited to that.
But if we can, I don't know how we invite them, that's what I'm saying, if we could do some of that
I think
social
that we
media.
take Burgess liaison and have her write
go,
up a
Joy.
draft of
I
a,
could do something.
we could send them a letter. I mean,
Well,
when
we
you
don't,
say them,
I don't know who
is
they
there
are.
a list?
No, that's what I'm saying,
It's
I
the
don't
Elks
know.
Club, the Elks Club leadership. Communicate with the Elks Club leadership. They have the Americanism Committee, I believe, that runs the.
No, I mean, the list of
The list of
citizens, people
How do
applying
we
for
know?
became citizens.
I mean, we,
Oh, I thought you were talking like people you work with.
well, we have a couple,
Classes.
we have a couple that are going for their citizenship, that take our classes, but
Right,
people
We
that
have
just
those
go
things.
and count, they don't go through us, you know what I'm saying?
The answer is yes. Getting the list, I don't know how to do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
right.
so it's okay, even if I put something out there, okay, all right, we can do it that way, we can work it out,
Yeah, sure,
All right.
because there's gotta be a register somewhere.
that's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
was just saying to Fran, it's gotta be registered somewhere on the state side. It tells you who.
you know what, let me talk to the woman that's doing citizenship.
Right. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because she reports it to someone.
We probably have to report it to the state.
Yeah. Because like, the ones that take our classes, just on their own make their appointment, once they've completed our course, and then it's up to them, you know.
I mean, there's gotta be a site on the state side.
Yeah, I'll try to find out through her, that teaches it,
Yeah.
I'll try to dig tomorrow, if I can see if I can find something.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Good. Bob?
Two things. One is, Jeremy approached me today at Cumbies and wanted to know if the street department had to do anything up at the high school, for the field. Any work that the public works had to do up there. We couldn't get any answers from, either Mariano or Montini. I said it's a good question.
You mean on the new project?
Yes, yes. I know that there was some other things that they were talking about in doing in the upper field and possibly some additional pits.
Okay, so you're raising a good point. That's in July 1, taking over everything. But now we have a project in place that we haven't taken over, that they're running. So I think we need to have a meeting with them and make sure everything is in control. But I think there are some track and field improvements that the borough, Jeremy's team, is going to implement before the new project commences. And I think his question is, are we still doing that?
That's correct.
So,
And the reason he asked me that is because he wants to know, number one, what is needed. Number two, if we have to order something, you know, we don't want to be in the way of the current project that's going on, because that project, I don't know if it had started, it was supposed to start on May 5th.
It started.
It did.
It started on Monday.
Okay, which is May 5th.
Everybody stripped the field.
Okay, so, he just wants to know, and it's amazing that you can't get any answers from the Board of Education, which not only pisses me off, it pisses him off, because he wants to be on the same page as everybody else, so that we're not in the way, and we want to make sure that we're gonna do it the right way.
So pretty soon he's gonna be the boss, so, you won't, but this project's in the twilight zone,
Well,
so
the
we're
concern
gonna have
is,
to work
the
on it.
concern is that we have a small window of opportunity,
Yeah.
right? School closes, we can't do anything until school closes. They're hoping to have the field done and then have graduation and then start the track,
Yeah.
the long jump, the pit, the
Yeah.
shot put.
All that stuff, so.
Right.
But we also have needed that information because they can't schedule those fields. We need to be able to work and not work around
Right.
other activities that are going on there. We moved on Friday, the art department moved all the equipment off of the field, because we got called at 11 hours. We moved the equipment off of the field, up to the practice field, the slides and all that stuff, and the goal posts and everything. So we took care of that, but yeah, Jeremy's right, we haven't got any information or nothing. It's gonna be more obviously his responsibility, but they have to be cognizant that they give out permits, they charge people to use those fields, so they need to know that they can.
Right. Well, I don't think, the way they talked is that the replacement of the track is the summer of 2025, so nobody's gonna be on it at that point anyways.
But they're right there for people to the practice field in.
The upper practice, which they were talking about doing something up there related to the track.
Right.
What was it? The
Throwers, yep. They're moving the throwing area out there.
Throwing
It's
area,
not a
so-
field anymore.
So I guess the question is, let's get on the same page while the project is now starting, so that there's no confusion. That's all.
So Sandra, tomorrow, let's set up a call. You, Jeremy, me, and let's just say a board of ed representative, I don't know.
Bobby Bezza. I'll see.
Well, but he won't, no, we need, well,
Okay.
he could be with us, but we need someone.
With some
It's
authority.
either Mariano or Montini or someone like that.
They're not engineers, you've got to talk to
No, no,
facilities to
but-
find out what's happening with the
No, but
project.
what I need to do is tell them, we're gonna take over talking to the contractor.
Absolutely.
Coordinate.
Oh, absolutely,
Even though we didn't do it yet, we're about
Right.
to do it.
no, I couldn't agree more, but you gotta talk to somebody that knows the fields,
Right,
not
right.
somebody that sits in a
Well, I
meeting.
mean, as of this minute, they're running the project,
Right,
so we're gonna have to, assist them.
Can you include in your meeting Coach Roper as well? Since he'll have a better understanding what will be required in the upper field.
Yeah, well,
And get it straight from the coach instead of him doing AD to us.
well, we had it all set with Coach Roper and Jeremy, and then the new project came into play, so we've gotta.
If he's in on the meeting, that'd just be good to have the input.
that's a good idea, yeah.
So the last thing that I want to talk about is it looks like it's been vacant now for the last month. The old Al's Hot Dogs, they started putting a retaining wall over there. I'm not sure the reason why it stopped.
It stopped because they were taking it to the hill
Yeah.
and they found sand. So they basically have nothing to anchor to the wall. So Jim probably knows what's going on.
So, I mean, that being said, I fear the house that's up on the top,
Oh, I know.
that
It's gonna fall down.
if that erodes enough, it's gonna just fall to the ground. So I don't know why, you know.
All right, so Jim, what, I know this is Bill Hersman's territory, what do you know?
They initially started installing that concrete block.
Yeah.
Wasn't the type of wall that was approved for zoning.
Jesus.
And when they were in the zoning, I asked the question, how are you gonna install the wall and keep the bank up? And they were gonna install a different system similar to the one behind. Mobile,
Yeah.
where you can drive the piles.
Yeah.
Drop the panels down.
Yeah.
Excavate the panels, drop them in wall spaces. So they installed the wrong system, or started installing the wrong system. and they had an initial earth slide there, so
Yeah.
we're charged. So we issued them a cease and desist to stop them from working. The following weekend, they decided that they wanted to keep working to try to get that wall. So, yeah, we went home and they just continued to work.
Yeah.
And that's when
Which word did it not
that
understand?
second,
Cease
that's
or
when the
desist?
second area collapsed because it was only getting worse. So, and they stopped working and we had them come back in to zoning. And they then went back to their original design. We required that they hire a geotechnical and bring a geotechnical and a structural engineer with a new design of a new wall. So they're going back to the original design, which is the piles, and they've changed from a wood cribbing to a concrete cribbing. So from what I understand, they have, they're manufacturing parts now, and they should be starting momentarily. I mean, the crane is back in there, and they're working us around.
I was just wondering if there was any urgency going on.
Oh, yeah, there's
Because, you know, it's just a matter of time before the house comes off the top of the hill and then.
Well, that could be a major disaster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their
Yeah.
structural
Just keep that
engineers
house on
has
the
said that soil they put up against is not ideal, but he says it's holding in place for now.
I figured I had to ask the question, I drive by there every day, I'm
Trust
saying,
me,
what the
yeah.
hell's going on?
5 o'clock. That came down?
Now I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, Rocky.
Yes, I have a technical question for the young skinny guy. Can I get AI here? EMS week is the week of the 18th. So stop in, say hello, bring him a couple of donuts, bring him some candy, buy him a couple of new cars. But do stop in and say hello, you'll find there are a bunch of really nice people, whatever the shift is. And I'm gonna keep bringing it up until something gets done. But the gates of the dog park are falling apart. And the gates in New Springs, and I'm gonna keep bringing it up until something gets done.
So you're saying New Springs or Gates?
No, we'll be waiting 3 years.
Springs or Gates?
May 29th, from 5 to 7, the Elks are having a CD dinner to raise money for 2 scout troops. And also Guntown Kids starts on Saturday, May 24th, Gigi's Baby at 9:30 in the morning. You really have to stop down and see how these kids get excited at all the different projects that have done every different Saturday. That's about it.
Okay. So we will, let's do this. Let's go to item 37. We'll do the motion. We'll take a 5-minute break. We'll get Megan on the phone and we will proceed with executive session. So item 37.
Motion to recess to executive session at 8:34 PM for discussion of the following: real estate parcels A, B, C, Y, and Z, Novotuck Industrial Park, Section 3, freight rail discussion, Hershey property, collective bargaining up suit, and pending litigation.
Inviting in Marcello.
Inviting in Martello.
Second.
Yeah.
All right.
The real.
Fred.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so. I'm going to reconvene the regular meeting at 9:17 PM and proceed directly to item 39.
Motion to adjourn at 9:18.
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?